Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is all about demolds. So I've put together 13 demolds for you. First up is the octopus, one of the octopuses. Now this one here, I just put a big shell in his head filled with clear resin, and when that was cured I topped the legs up with 2 colours of mica powder, and I just poured those bit by bit, both colours in, and mix them up a little bit with a skewer. And I also put in 2 little eyes with the resin, the UV resin. So that's him there. All these demolds on this little video here, I just videoed the demolds. I didn't make videos on how to make them. So I just thought I'd put them all together and show you the demolds. I know sometimes it's the best part. Sometimes I'm guilty of that. I start watching a video and then I fast forward right to the end just to see the demold. So this is a frog I did with shells also. And I just put the shells in clear resin. Put 2 eyes in with UV light as well, with UV resin. And instead of topping with sand at the end, I just used some mica powder, some gold coloured mica powder and resin. Put a scallop shell in his head, it's the little one. I thought that would look quite funny. It looks quite cute. And just the main big shell in his back. And then just filled the gaps with little shells. I have done a video on a frog similar to this. You can find that in my playlist if you want to watch that. The playlist is called Arts and Crafts. So those are my 2 shell projects I did in one day. And next up I have an apple. Now I used chameleon powder to coat the mould first. The chameleon powder was a grass green crimson shift. And I filled it with black resin. So you can see the shift there. It goes green, purple, crimson. The base is always a little bit trickier to get out, to get started. And I just run my finger around to loosen it all up around the edges first. And then I pop in some soapy water. That works a treat. I tend to use soapy water now if I have a difficult mould instead of alcohol, because alcohol is not really good for your moulds. And then you can see how easy it is to get it out after the soapy water's gone in there. So that's giving a really good colour shift on that one there. Quite like that. Now I also did 2 more apples. One of the apples was just this one here, and all that was it's a bit stuck because it's a bit still sticky. I probably shouldn't have the lid on that. Just a wine coloured, ruby wine coloured, excuse me, mica powder poured straight into the mould. And this one here is the same chameleon powder, believe it or not, as that first apple. Now the reason why it's different colour is because I've backed it with white. So yeah, to depending on what colour you put behind it. So this next one here is just some little pocket hearts. That was just a silk flower with some resin behind it, some green resin. This is a chameleon powder. This is just holographic film that I placed over the back. Holographic vinyl. And this is just another silk flower with just clear resin. Now this one is just a little gecko. When I've got leftover resin, just a tiny little bit left in my cup, I usually just pour it into this mould here or the koi carps that you can see on the left of the screen at the moment. And this one had, I just put in some chameleon powder because the resin I had left over was black. And that's come out quite shiny, quite nice. I do use him in a video that I've coming up shortly. A trinket tray that I'm making, so keep an eye on that. That's yet to come. Now these hearts here, these are testers. So I wanted to see what my chameleon powders look like, or with black behind them. So I numbered each pot and then did each heart, then numbered the heart. So I've got those for reference. Every time I want to use them, I can just look up the number and get the corresponding pot. You probably can't see the shift very well through the camera. I probably should have tilted a bit more for you. But that's a purple blue. This one's supposed to be a purple green. Purple red. And that's purple gold, I think. You wouldn't think that that colour would turn out like that, would you? But like I say, if you do white in the back, it's going to be totally different again, which is really neat because you get a lot of colours then. You get a lot of choices then. This is a green, purple, blue. These chameleon powders are just from Demould. It's a greeny gold. And this is another green, I think it shifts to blue and gold. This next one is a frog. What did I do with this frog? Oh yes, that's right. I put in some silk flowers. So I put in 4 flowers. Also put eyes in them with the UV resin. So the silk flowers just got put into clear resin. When that was cured, I just mixed some green mica powder, brushed it into his feet, and then poured it in behind. I find if you brush the mica powder in first and then pour it in, you get a bit of shine than just mixing it in the resin and pouring it in. It's just something that I've found out. The flowers, they do soak up the resin, so they also become a little bit translucent looking rather than opaque. Next up is some more hearts. Now these hearts, I used some nail polish and painted the moulds, and then when that was cured I just poured black behind them, and the nail polishes are quite metallic, and a couple of the colours have stained my mould. I think it was the red and the indigo blue. The other colours didn't, which was interesting. It was the same brand of nail polish, but never mind. I won't be able to get those stains out there permanent. So these were the offending colours. It shouldn't hurt whatever I make in those moulds. It shouldn't do any damage, so we'll see. Okay, now this little heart here, I did in 2 stages. I poured clear resin in first, and then I got these little goldfish that I made just out of leftover resin again. I just keep them in this little container, and one day I use them. I had 4 in there, so I used 3, and I popped them in the bottom, poured the clear resin over, wait till it cured, and then topped it with blue pearl mica. And you can see the shadows of the fish underneath them onto the blue there. I've also done seahorses in these hearts as well, and they look quite effective as well. Okay, octopus again. This octopus, I got some little white pom-poms, and they had little flecks of holographic spikes sticking out from them. So I thought, oh, that would look cool in his head. So I just mixed them with a bit of clear resin and pushed them down into the head. And with the leftover clear resin, I just put some holographic glitter and filled them, topped them up. And I also put some eyes in there as well with the UV resin. That turned out quite nice. You can't really see the white balls. I've soaked up the resin. You can just make out little circles in his head there. But I like the holographic look. That's quite pretty. Next up we have some seahorses. These were just, again, leftover resin. I always have little moulds lying on my table on the desk there, and I just grab one of them and use up the leftovers. It's a nice size seahorse, that. And little babies too. What I like about this mould is you've got the seahorses and they're facing both ways. Now this one here, this frog here, I got some coloured UV resin from Demould. Comes in a little bottle. And what I did is I filled up his tips of his toes, and I also made patterns all through the mould on his back with the UV resin, cured it, and then I filled up the mould with resin with a bit of pink pearl mica, and this is the effect I got. I was quite pleased with this one. The UV resin that I put on his back and his toes was still a little bit sticky, so after I demoulded him I put him under the lamp for a few minutes and that hardened up. I'm going to do another one of these. I'm going to do lime green frog with the blue. But there we have it. So I just did squiggly lines and circles, dots, all sorts. The UV resin was very hard to squeeze out of the bottle. It was the only other thing. I soaked the bottle in some warm water, but didn't help. It's very, very thick. Now I think this might be the last one. This is just another little gecko, leftover resin, just blue mica powder. It's a good little mould, this one. I got from Temu. They always come out quite shiny, even though it's not a shiny mould. It's faceted. It's got lots of little grooves and angles in it. It shines really well. Okay guys, let me know in the comments which was your favourite. And if you'd like me to do a video on one of them and how I did it, just let me know. Thanks for watching guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.